What is one experience that every single person in this room shares? Change. No matter how old you are, where you come from, or what your life may even look like right now, change is inevitable. And in my life, I've learned that while it can often be uncomfortable, it can also be a great source for growth. One of the biggest crossroads in my life came when I was 8 years old, about to be tucked into bed, and my parents told me we were moving across the world from the US to Hong Kong. At the time, all I really understood was that things would be much different. My school, the friends I had known for several years, and all the routine and comfort I had built from living in San Francisco was about to be thrown away and left on basically the other side of the world. Now, if you've ever watched a movie or even read a book about a kid being new, you probably know how the typical story goes. The kid will be awkward, eat lunch alone, and just seem to have a really tough time overall. And at the time, that's exactly how I viewed it as well. But what if this narrative could be different? When I arrived in Hong Kong, it was an immediate change of scenery. From the moment I stepped outside of the airport at 6 a.m. local time, I felt the warm and humid air rush over me. Much different than the cold and foggy weather I was accustomed to. Skyscrapers and apartment complexes stretched endlessly into the sky, and I could hear people speaking a multitude of languages all around me. Already, I could tell my life had drastically changed. On my first day of school, I remember walking into a classroom where I didn't know a single person. The teacher introduced me as a new student, and I could feel dozens of eyes sizing me up, wondering who I was. And when I sat down, I immediately was met with a lot of questions asking me where I came from and even what sports I liked to play. Now, in the beginning, I did really have a tough time about being a new student. And I faced a lot of challenges over the first couple of days, and I would distance myself, admittedly, during free time and recess. But after just a couple of days, I would experience what really changed my perspective about this whole new kid thing. I met my very first friend, a boy named Lawrence, on the fourth day of being a new student. And we connected over a shared love for Beyblade, a relatively popular kids game at the time. And throughout my third and fourth grade year, we would go on to become great friends, until all that was taken away in an instant. And for just the second time in my childhood, change would hit me like a truck when I least expected it. Now, fast forward a couple years later, I was in middle school. And although it was an entirely new experience for me, I settled in pretty quick and made friends relatively easily, something that I noticed was beginning to come more naturally towards me. One of the kids I met that year was a boy named Dave. We were both in the same major in class, and his dad worked for the US government, meaning that he had lived in 5 different countries in just 12 years. And what I observed about him is that he seemed to look more at home than some of the kids who had lived in Hong Kong for their entire lives. When I asked him about this, he told me that when I come to a new school, I never really have any trouble making friends. I was very surprised at this, and I immediately asked him how he could do that. And he basically explained to me that when you've been new enough times, you stop seeing it as a weakness and more as a skill. Something that you can learn from and grow from and shapes you into a better person. Now, that's why I remember these words. Over the course of my childhood and teenage years, I switched schools multiple times. And each change brought uncertainty and unfamiliarity into me. But I remember that every time I'm doing this, I'm growing into a better person. Someone more adaptable, more confident, and more open towards opportunities. Looking back now, I understand that growth doesn't come from staying comfortable all the time. It comes from stepping into uncertainty and choosing to accept that. No matter what, you will always keep going and push forward. In the end, I want you to remember the next time you're new or a new opportunity has been put upon you, I want you to treat it like something being added. Not something to fear, or not something to be afraid of. Change is a new opportunity. Thank you.